What's going on, Detroit Lions fans? Stephen Will, Detroit Den 313, counting down the minutes until next game day, Sunday. It's fastly approaching. We'll have our game day episode out tomorrow afternoon sometime. But real quick, members, to our two winners from last week, the winners of the jersey and the helmet, your items will be shipped tomorrow morning. Sorry for delay. Work. By the time I get off work, post office is closed. So that will be shipped out tomorrow morning. Hopefully you get it by Monday. And the gift card was already given to the person in person. So we're ready to go. Think about becoming a member. Helps us out, helps you out. Chance to win some cool stuff. Hammer that subscribe button. Will, what are we getting into?
Listen, before we get into the business, I got to say two things, Steve. Two things, because I'm geeked. Number one, I think my Tesla jersey is going to be here tomorrow.
Oh, you ordered it online?
That's one. So we'll see. Hopefully it's here tomorrow. Two, what came in today, you see it on my head. You guys know if you're a subscriber, you know I'm a hat guy, and the hats are whatever. Get a new hat, whatever. There's not too many times that I'm geeked up about a hat. When I seen this one, I just couldn't wait. I just got it. I just peeled the stickers off. I'm not a sticker guy. Wear the stickers on my hat, but Carhartt and the Lions 47 doing a collab, man. Yeah, I'm pumped about this one. So put it in the comments, guys. If you love Carhartt, Michigan company, Detroit company, stand up, Carhartt, love it. So just give you guys a shout out, and then my boy Teasy, because my boy Teasy is hooking me up with the Carhartt stuff. So I got to give you a shout out, Teasy. Appreciate you. Stopped in, talked to those guys down there, downtown Detroit, Carhartt. So, but to the business at hand, Steve. Today we're going to be talking about some press conferences that our OC and our DC had, and we're going to try to read between the lines a little bit. And I think that there's some juice to squeeze out of that. So I don't know where you want to start, but I'm excited about this show. I'll tell you that.
I think we got to start with the offense. We can't just because I'll give my reason why later, but I think we got to start with the offense because I feel like they've been the most scrutinized position group, offense, defense. I think the offense has been under more heat than the defense. Johnny Morton, pretty much, to me, Will, sounded like he's guaranteeing things are going to be fixed. All right. Talked about the miscommunications. He's talked about some leadership. He pretty much had almost the same press conference as Coach Shep, but I feel like he doesn't sell it as well as Coach Shep does. Well, I feel like he, I sense some bullshit when I watched his press conference. How did you feel? How did you feel watching it? Were you concerned? Did it make you feel better, or did it make you think, I don't know that I'm buying what he's selling?
That's good, Steve. That's a good question.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't like. Can I say that? Can I just say I don't like the question?
The question will be answered.
Okay. Buckle my. Let me strap up here. Coach Mo, man, I want to love you. I do. I want to love you. Just blue collar guy, Michigan man. You come home to lead this offense. I didn't enjoy the press conference. I didn't enjoy it. It didn't give me that warm and fuzzy, like, yeah, we're about to go out and light it up this week. I didn't get that. He did say some stuff was going to get cleaned up. I would expect that it does get cleaned up. I don't like the guarantees, though. I don't like we talk to guys and it's going to be better and it's going to be. I like the Coach Campbell, just straightforward, honest. We know we need to be better. When you ask him a timetable, he normally tells you, I don't know. Could be a week. Could be 4. I don't know. What I do know is we're going to attack this thing the best that we can. I feel like Coach Mo was like, yeah, it's going to be fixed this week. That's kind of and I'm paraphrasing. He didn't say it exactly like that, but he said it like that-ish.
That was the vibe I got as well.
Yeah, the delivery, I just didn't love the delivery. And just coming from what we've had in the past as far as delivery goes, and I didn't even think that the Chicago Bears coach was the best at delivering information at that podium either. I thought it was a little bit better than what happened today. Never had a problem with the press conference from Coach Mo until today, but today's didn't give me the best warm and fuzzy. But the great thing about that, Steve, is if he goes out there and light it up, I don't care if his every press conference he has ever is not that the greatest. If he goes out there and takes care of business, that's the biggest thing. But I'm with you 1000%. The press conference did not make me feel like, man, we're good to go this week.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just his personality. I haven't seen him do enough press conferences to really kind of get a vibe for what kind of presentation he gives off. But I was just kind of watching, and I just felt like I want to believe it because I'm a Lions fan. I want to believe that all these miscommunications are going to be fixed. The pass coverage is going to be fixed. The offensive line play is going to be fixed. The explosive plays are going to be there. The running game is going to be there. I want to believe all that as a fan. But when he got to the stage, I was just thinking, I feel like this dude's telling us what we want to hear. But the way he's presenting it is just, it's making me doubt that you can fix all those problems in 4 or 5 days. That's a short period of time for a lot of offensive struggles. Now, the only thing he said that I liked and I enjoyed was that Isaac Tesla was going to be more involved with the game plan going forward. I liked hearing that because when we talked about red zone struggles, we talked about, hey, put a kid in there who's 6'3" with a huge catch radius and is an athletic freak in a hard mismatch. I like that, but when he's talking about holding people accountable, I just didn't get the same type of assertiveness, I guess, that I got from Coach Shep when he was talking. And he talked about, the Bears have Dennis Allen, the type of defense is something I'm familiar with. It's something similar to ours. He was trying to sell a lot of things, Will. And I don't know. If he came to my door and was trying to sell me new windows, I'd have told him to kick rocks a long time ago, Will. I'd have told him not even come on my porch. Just not a good salesman, but I want him to be right. Maybe it's just his delivery and the way he gets up there, but I'm cheering for him to be right. I want him to have all these problems fixed, and it starts with the offensive line. Accountability, like we'll get into that when we talk about Coach Shep, but offensively, man, we struggled. We did not look good. We're beating that drum all week, beating a dead horse, but we're going to find out in a couple days because it's almost game day. But Coach Mo's not a great salesman. That's really what I took away from this.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like I said, I'm with you 100%. But it doesn't matter. Hopefully, we just take care of business, and he can have all the bad press conferences he wants as long as he takes care of business.
But William,
yeah,
when Coach Shep got to that microphone, that is a guy with a lot of energy. I felt like I wasn't even in the room, and I just felt like, whoa, hey, like this guy's commanding respect with how he's talking. Like he's taking charge of the room, taking charge of the questions. He's answering in a very, very, very coach's way, but in a positive way. Like this dude straight up got up there and said, people are asking questions about this play, that play. And he just goes, it's been taken care of. It's been coached up. Those guys who were accountable have been called accountable. We talked about it in the locker room. Like just the way he presented himself, was just a whole different story. And he talked about, a couple plays on one drive that led to a touchdown. And, if you take that away, the Packers only ran 47 offensive snaps and we only gave up I think it was 220 yards total. Like pretty good. He goes, it's just timeliness. It's just making every rep count, making an 18-yard play on a limited drive is a massive play. Like just he stood up there and demanded attention when he got on that microphone. Well, what did you take away from Coach Shep?
Steve, here we go. So I understand why you took it that way. Respect it. Steve, I didn't like it.
Really?
I didn't like it. I didn't like Coach Shep at the podium today. And the reason why I didn't like it is because unlike Coach Mo, I've seen Coach Shep at the podium for some seasons now. And I know he hasn't been the guy in charge, but he didn't seem like Coach Shep at that podium today. He didn't seem like the same Coach Shep that I've grown to know over this time. Now, if this is who he was every time he was at that podium, I'd be fine with it. But my spidey senses went off when he started to be somebody else. He started to be somebody else today. Down to when they asked about TA, he said, if you're hurt, get off the field.
Come out the game. Yep.
Like, mm, mm. It was people were asking him questions. A couple times he cut off people. Very matter of fact, very short. He seemed almost a bit agitated. What is that? Is that the noise getting to him? That's what it makes me wonder. Because when you stop acting like yourself, what's caused you to stop acting like yourself? Right? Are we getting, is it an emotional thing? Is this, are you losing focus? One thing I loved about Coach Glenn is when the walls were caving in, people were asking, demanding that he be fired. He was up at that podium, and you would think that everything was kumbaya. I couldn't tell if we won by 40 or we lost by 40 by how AG was at that podium. And he was deemed nothing major, just a phenomenal leader of men by the players in that locker room and across the NFL. And that led him to a head coaching position. I didn't see that out of Coach Shep today. AG lost all types of players throughout his time here, just decimated with injuries, up against it. Never did I hear him talking about the accountability going to the players as much. Coach Shep said that, hey, we got to own some of this as coaches. I felt like AG was like, it's on me to figure out. And he could have easily said, hey, listen, I got safeties that we're bringing in on a week's notice and moving to linebacker. What do you want from me, guys? He could have said that. But he said, nope, it's on me to figure this thing out. And regardless of if we got 10, 15 injuries or whatever, where we have basically no starters, we're whatever. It's on me. It just threw something to my spidey senses that made me a little bit uncomfortable. Now, is it the end of the world? I don't think so. When it comes to game plan and how we took care of business, we didn't start off the greatest, but I love the adjustments we made in the second half. And I love the accountability that he said when he was like, listen, everybody knows that we're a man team. I got to figure out a way to be able to scheme up us being okay in man situations. Because like I said, we ran some zone, and I said it on the podcast yesterday, I believe. We weren't running zone because we wanted to. We were running zone because people were getting open. And that's what we had to resort to, running zone. So I respect where he's coming from. I'm interested to see how this thing unfolds. I'm expecting some success this Sunday because as I look at the totality of this thing on both sides of the football, both teams, I feel like we're the better team at every facet of football. No disrespect to the Chicago Bears, but I expect us to come out successful. I'm more worried about the future. What does the future look like? How did the players take this press conference, and how do they feel about it? Because it was aggressive to me, Steve. This thing was aggressive. And sometimes players, they don't like to be held accountable in public. Now, he did say at one point of the press conference he was going to keep the personal conversations close to the vest, but his demeanor lets you know what those personal conversations were like. I could imagine those weren't nice, warm, huggy, cozy conversations. It felt like those conversations why the F are people getting open? Why the F aren't you getting home? Why the F aren't you doing your job? That's what I suspect those conversations were. And I don't know. It's just another thing to keep an eye on. I'm not going to sit up here and say it's the end of the world. Different strokes for different folks. He doesn't have to be just like AG. He's got to be Coach Shep. But we got to see if Coach Shep and the way that he goes about things works.
I feel like he took care of his players in the press conference. He said, things have been taken care of behind closed doors. The players who needed to be accountable on certain plays have been talked to, and I expect to see better. But there was one player in particular, Will, I feel like he possibly left out to dry, and it was Terrion Arnold. Someone in the stand or in the crowd asked about a pick play that Green Bay ran for a touchdown. I don't remember the down and distance, and Terrion Arnold wasn't safe. I don't know if he was just in the crosshairs and there was no way to hide it, but Coach Shep pretty much just came out and said, I expect better. Terrion Arnold's a professional. Go back and watch. They ran the same play against him in the San Francisco game, and he couldn't. I can't remember exactly what he said, but Terrion Arnold kind of got, I feel like, thrown under the bus with that one question. Maybe it was kind of set up to where he couldn't hide it, but I feel like Terrion Arnold is the only player who kind of got picked on today in today's press conference. And that's where I'm kind of like, did we just kind of contradict ourselves? Because Coach Shep just got up there and said that the people who needed to be held accountable were held accountable behind closed doors, and the coaches as well. And people in the crowd were prying, asking, and that was his response. If I had $1 for every time he said point blank period, Will, I'd be a rich man. He was just repeating it, point blank period. Like, he's just a very matter of fact type of guy. But when that question got asked, it was like he didn't try to shelter TA. He didn't try to take the question and spin it in a Will Ford type of way, like a politician's answer, and kind of protect Terrion. So I think that might be something I might have to look into and see Sunday how Terrion Arnold responds and how he plays, because that was kind of the only part where at the end of the interview, I was like, he protected a lot of people in this interview. He stood up and protected Kirby Joseph when someone asked him what Kirby Joseph's responsibility was on a certain play. And he goes, like you said, cut him off and goes, Kirby was exactly who he was supposed to be on that play. I got a different vibe when he answered the Terrion Arnold question. So I think that might be a little something to pay attention to going forward, Will.
Steve.
William.
That's 2 bullets at Terrion. Because like I said before,
get off the field if you're hurt.
Get off the field. If you're hurt, get off the field. To me, that makes me wonder, as I'm looking through the injury report, I'm seeing full participant in practice. Folks, if you pulled your groin, you're not a full participant in practice if you pulled your groin on Sunday. So not to say there's obviously something going on, but I alluded to it in the previous podcast when I said, was it growing tightness, right? Or did he tweak something? So maybe it was some growing tightness. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I don't, whatever. But it was very matter of fact, just get off of the field if you're hurt. So I do, Steve. I think it's something to look out for. But I didn't just think with Terrion. It was like I said. It was the tone. Is that a tone that fires the boys up? Is that a tone that offends the boys? Is this something that causes dissension? Is this something that makes the boys run through a wall? Because it isn't what we've seen publicly over the Dan Campbell time being here. The regime hasn't behaved in this manner. I don't know. Because at one point we were 1-6 and I didn't feel like the press conferences were going this way. I did hear things like, hey, we need to be better. Hey, we got to take a strong look at ourselves and come to work and give our best effort. I heard things like that, but I didn't hear, hey, players need to be held accountable and it will get fixed. Because to me, Steve, the vibe to me was just being flat out honest. The vibe was like, do your job or we'll find somebody else. That was really the vibe that I felt. Hey, listen, players will be held accountable. You will do your job. If you don't do your job, we'll find somebody to do their job. And this wasn't my fault. This was people not doing their job. Even from Coach Mo. Hey, listen, these are, what did Coach Mo say, Steve? These are plays that these players have ran before. These aren't new plays. This is stuff that they've done before, and we're not doing it right. To me, that speaks to the public as, hey, man, I'm not coming in as a new OC running some stuff that they haven't seen. I don't know why they ain't running it right, but we're going to get it right this week. That's what it felt like. I'm not saying that's what it was. And I don't want it to be, I don't say that for it to be cancerous, because I hate negativity for no reason. I'm just speaking on what I heard and what I felt, what I took from it. So careful is all I can say. Careful, because we can't have that type of energy. That's one of the things that I feel like we haven't had under Dan Campbell. It has been holding people accountable behind the scenes as a leader, taking it on the chin and navigating it through it that way, because I don't think you get anything out of public scrutiny of players in the NFL, because you're dealing with a bunch of guys that have a lot of money. And sometimes for some teams, not the Detroit Lions, but for some teams, some of these guys are hard to motivate now that they're millionaires. So I don't think you're going to motivate them by belittling them. And I don't think we got to the point of belittling yet, but it was starting to get kind of, especially like you said, with the TA situation, as the kids say, it was starting to get a little weird in there with TA. So I don't know. Again, something to keep an eye out for, but not getting into the game day stuff. Hopefully, the way that we take care of business will put us in a better trajectory. Everybody will be a little bit less tight, because it looked like both of those guys were a little tight in the ass, Steve. They look a little uptight. Neither one of them looked truly comfortable. And that's seeing them at other press conferences throughout the training camp and everything else. I haven't seen either one of the two of those guys look like that. Now, Coach Campbell, our fierce leader, he looked like himself to me. Did Coach Campbell give you anything that was weird, that wasn't really like the normal Coach Campbell?
I feel like Coach Campbell could hit the lottery and give a press conference, and then the next day, like, the worst thing in the world could happen to him, and he'd give the same press conference. Like, yeah. I feel like, Will, if I'm tooting my own horn here a little bit, I'm pretty good at reading people and picking up on context clues. I cannot read Dan Campbell. I can't. Like, I can read Brad Holmes. I can read Coach Mo, Coach Shep, all the players when they say certain things. But when Dan Campbell gets up there, I could watch the interview 10 times and take something 10 different ways, because he's going to tell you how it is. And I'm not trying to even say that he's like being cute or trying to hide his answers. It's just, man, I wish we had like a little more information. Like, I wish he'd said like one little key word that I was looking for in that sentence to maybe make me be more confident, or just whatever it may be. But I can't read Dan, so he's just really good. He is who he is. He's going to get up there. He's going to give the same exact press conference every single day. It's never going to change. I've stopped even trying to figure out the meaning behind some of the things he says, because I'm just never going to figure it out, Will.
Steve, I think you nailed it. He is who he is. Yeah. That's why we can't read him, because he's wearing his heart on his sleeve, and he's just telling you from the heart what it is and how he feels. There's no reading in between the lines. With the guys today and other coaches that have been here and other coaches across the league, I don't know. Even our GM, Steve, I'll tell you, our GM, I don't know if he's drafting a corner, if he's drafting a kicker, if he's just going to skip the draft. I have no idea what goes on in Brad's head ever. He'll do a press conference and I just leave confused. I'll be honest. But Coach Campbell gets up there, and for me, I feel like I just take it for exactly what he said. And if it's lack of information, it was because he didn't want to give us any information. Like, and sometimes he'll even say that. He's like, listen, I'm not going to tell you guys what we're going to do this week, but we're going to play tough, gritty football, and it won't be something that you haven't seen before. Like, he'll tell you like just some stuff straight up, but it's never like a riddle or a game or anything like that. Our GM will leave you up there in a blender of riddles, and
like a fart in the wind. You're just going whatever direction it takes you,
and it's nuts. So, yeah, man. I got a little cause for concern after the press conferences. It's nothing catastrophic, man, but it's something again that just going to keep an eye on moving forward, because these are two guys that are, even though Coach Mo has done it before, it's been a while since he's been in charge, and then Coach Shep, this is his first go round trying to figure out what's the proper way to lead, man. As the DC and the leader of everything. Again, he's not just a leader of a locker room now. He's a leader of a whole defense. And if there's a question about the corners, the D-line, whatever the case may be, he's got to answer those questions and field those questions and ultimately take it on the chin if they don't take care of business like they should, no matter what. So it'll be interesting to see how he navigates this thing. Again, Steve and I have been firm but fair, but these are guys that are leading the men, the players wearing Honolulu blue. So we're cheering for them.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting into game day. We just had to dive. We don't do a dive into every single press conference Trevor's put on there, but I thought today was a little interesting. I know it's tense. A lot of people didn't want to answer questions, or people answered questions very quick and very affirmatively and didn't want to even hear the whole question. Maybe we got to a point where, Dan Campbell had to rip some ass today. Maybe he got into their two asses and ripped them a new one to hold them accountable. We don't know. There's a lot of things that coulda, woulda, shoulda. We'll never know. But I do think that that's a possibility that Dan held them accountable for some stuff, potentially, just speculation. But when the other day he said, this is the standard that we've set for the Detroit Lions to play perfect football. And if that standard's not being met, people are going to be held accountable. And that starts with the head coach. He took blame himself for some stuff. So I don't know. Maybe we'll have to see. Game day's coming up. I fully expect to see a fired up Detroit Lions team on Sunday. Home opener, division rival. Both teams 0-1. Both teams cannot afford to go 0-2. So I'm not saying the season's on the line, but you don't want to go 0-2 with 2 division losses to start the season. So it's a big game for both teams. Anything else for tonight, Will?
Big game tonight, Steve.
Yeah, I'm
Big
actually
game
watching.
tonight.
That's why I keep looking over. Green Bay, Washington, playing as we speak. Stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.